Check, check. All right, microphone's working. Let me see. Gotta get audio. I have to turn on this. Let me check this while I'm doing that. Should be good, good. M18. Okay, update linear stream. Seems to be working.
At Fix-It Dave's from YouTube said is here.
That's not working. Let's put you on that. Refresh. Dashboard. And gotta get you going. You can go in the background.
Fix-It David from Twitch said all right.
All right. Everything seems to be working there. Oh.
Fix-It David from Twitch said hi everyone. At Fix-It Dave's from YouTube said hi everyone.
Okay, so yesterday, go ahead and hit record here, try and get some of this in on my computer today. Yesterday, the wife was saying that she was in the chat and she was writing stuff and nothing was coming through on my end. So, let's see if we can get in there. All right.
At Vast Golem from YouTube said hi everyone. Test test.
Okay, should be working. That's my personal YouTube from freaking God only knows how long ago, back in the Xbox days. All right, so where we're at, I've done a lot of stuff off video. Kind of interested to see how my Twitch is looking. Let's see. Profile live. Mod view is here. You can now access. Let's go. Fine. Looks like I am a mod. Let's see. Auto mod queue, ready for caught messages. Oh, here we go. That's chat. All right.
Fix-It David from Twitch said hi chat, how is everyone?
Oh yeah, that's much faster on Twitch, isn't it? All right, great. So I'll turn both of these off so we don't have the echo, and it looks like the stream's going. And you guys are with me. You're back. So what you're looking at right now on the stream is an oil pump housing and the block. And today we're going to install an oil pump. So the oil pump that we're installing is a OTR from Fleet Pride. This one that you see me dropping in here right now is the Cummins OEM. And I don't know if you guys are noticing, but it kind of sits right down in there for one, which is whatever, you know. The gear rides right up on the flush end of the rest of the gear train. That's another what the heck. This is the OEM one with like 370,000 miles on it. And apparently it is highly recommended to change it when you're rebuilding the engine. So quick serve says tear it down and measure it out and see if it's in spec and put it back. But I just opted to go with a cheap OTR oil pump. Looks something like this. It definitely doesn't drop in there nice and pretty, not like the OEM one does. When you do finally get it into, you got to get this dowel into its hole, but now you can see how tight it actually is before, and that's that dowel for the most part. Boom. Okay, finally set down in there, and that's set. And with the right torques, that'll be good. Everything should be fine. If you notice, the gear sits down way lower, which I'm not sure how they got away with that profile, but they did it. And other than that, it looks good. I think we're going to go with that. Once I install this thing, kind of get it snapped into place and ready to go, I have to actually use a crow's foot bar and give her some love in order to get it back out. That's a little troubling. OTR, you guys, you know, I know you focus, but it's a little troubling. It's impossible for me to say where that spec is, but it does sit down in there nice and tight, so I'm not concerned. So we're going to wipe out the dwell one more time, or the bore, whatever we want to call it. Just so its face is getting a nice clean mate. There's not any debris, in the threads, yada yada. And then, of course, you're going to do the same thing to the face of the pump now that I've sat it down in there. Just make sure that it's free of all debris, nice and clean. And then we got to take some assembly lube and we got to pack this pump, pre-lube the pump. That is supposed to help it vacuum the oil out of the pan for the initial start. So this is actually quite the deal. Not too shabby. So it only opens up like half of the veins at one time. I filled that half, spun it around 50%. It opened up the rest of them. I filled those. Everything I've seen says that this is good, that this should work. So I hope. You guys suppose I should fill the cavities in the back with it? At least the fill side. Nobody showed me that, so we're not going to do that. Cutter up, Rob. Been a minute since I've seen the video, but hopefully this is what we're supposed to see. So again, it doesn't pop in there quite as nice as the OEM does, but there it is, pretty much. Not too shabby. All right, I'm jumping quick serve real quick, pull the spec on this thing. I'm pretty sure it's 18 foot-pounds, but I need to know the torque as well. So 18 foot-pounds as we thought, and the torque is as follows. So let's get some Loctite. All right. And those are a 13, I believe. Yep. And as far as torque goes, they want upper right first, lower left second, upper left third. Upper right first. All right. And just for the heck of it, triple, double, quadruple checked. That's it for the oil pump, guys. Not a lot to it. If you're using an OTR brand like I am, just make sure that you get it seated properly. That's important. It was really tight, and you guys don't know this, but I actually worked off a camera. Honestly, a good hour, popping it in, taking it out, studying it, trying to understand why it was so tight, and so on. Excuse me. Other than that, the pump looks great, by the way, as far as material to material. I kind of compared them very closely, and the build looks great. The gear sitting down lower, I can't imagine it being a problem. I'm sure they worked it into their figures when they drew it up and decided they were going to copy it. And, at this point, all we can do is really hope for a victory here. Looking for 300,000 OTR, 300,000 miles out of that oil pump. So next up on the agenda, if I can get you guys on it, because the cord's pulling on you, is oil filter housing. Now, I ordered a PAI oil cooler for this fresh build. And with the PAI oil cooler came, oh wow, you guys are just getting jerked all over the place, aren't you? I'll trick it like that. Can't really see what you guys can see because I don't have it on the right screen, so I'm quick serve. Back to the story here. Oh yeah, that's a good view for you guys for the moment. Anyway, PAI sends the metal with the rubber O-rings, and so the one that they sent with this cooler was damaged, I believe, in shipping. So I'm in the middle of having them warranty that. That part is not here currently. I did get a lower gasket set, and it came with this paper version of it, or composite version of it, which if we had to, we could use, but apparently these don't make hundreds of thousands of miles before they deteriorate versus the metal ones do. So we're going to go as far as everything that we're going to do here. We're going to rebuild the the oil filter housing, and then we're going to put everything together. We're just not going to torque it all down, help seal stuff up. And then when I get the real gasket, we'll pull it back apart, put the new gasket in, and then torque everything down from there. So as far as the oil filter housing goes, this is my old oil cooler. Cummins again says pressure test it, and if it passes, put it back. But it does have 375,000 miles on it, and everybody says change it, which is too bad because OEM, this is expensive. It's a hefty chunk of change. But it just goes over here in the box. If you guys are looking, that's my box of tears. All the parts they keep throwing in here, my bucket of tears. Yeah, I have to replace all those parts, all the pistons, all the connecting, or the wrist pins, the oil cooler, the oil pump. Yep, it's my bucket of tears. All right, so as far as this thing goes, should be pretty simple. This is the new oil cooler. Hasn't been taken out of its packaging yet, but just off a quick inspection on it, I would say that it's probably okay. It's going to go in today. We're not going to pressure test it, so it better not be damaged as well. It better just be good. we are going to open up this port here and change the spring and O-ring on the regulator spring on the regulator valve. Apparently what the regulator valve does is if in any event you get oil pressure that is more than 75 psi, I believe, that regulator will open up and divert it straight back to the oil pump so that you're not overpressurizing your oil system and blowing it apart. We're going to open that up in a minute. First, we're going to go after this part. And this part is the bypass. And what this for is occasionally in the cold mornings, if you get any kind of buildup in the oil cooler itself, it's basically an oil cooler bypass. And if the oil cooler builds up too much pressure for any reason, I believe it's 50 psi on both sides. It'll more than 50 psi on both sides. It'll open up and it'll bypass the cooler and send oil straight over to the filter to be filtered and sent out to the motor. That causes overheating issues. There's all sorts of stuff. So obviously at that point you would go straight after your oil cooler. If the bypass valve opens and stays open, that's a big deal. Now, I didn't have any catastrophic failures that would necessarily have put a whole bunch of stuff into my oil system, but Cutter Up Rob, he says change it, we're changing it. All right, this is just your flush bearing puller tool. I used it on the freeze plugs. I actually kind of dented this one up pulling, the oil galley plugs. But anyway, just from what I can see, the best thing to do is to get a tool in there and actually recess it a little bit. Get your needle started. We're going to tear this valve out, so it doesn't matter if we hurt it. That seems to have a pretty good grip on something. Yeah, we're going to get a wrench out just because I want a little better bite. Oh my gosh, my wrenches are buried. Maybe we'll just try that real quick. I got some vice grips right here. That'll be quicker. Not too shabby. That actually worked really good. Super clean removal. Nothing to worry about. I've heard stories of guys prying them out. Whatever. What you guys do, this freaking puller tool, I think it was 40 or 50 bucks. It ain't nothing. Worked good for me on the freezer plugs, as well as what you guys just saw here, pulling this. All right, and we didn't get it too tight. That's cool. Nice. Yeah, that worked great. Probably didn't even hurt the valve, but doesn't matter. We're replacing it. Let's put this tool up because we're done with it real quick. Oh, you guys got me strapped up in here with your cord. The blind inner bearing puller tool, that's what it is. Works good for the money. All right, now we got that out, we are going to clean that up a little. Not a lot, but a little. I'm happy with that. I don't think there's any dust to be worried about, but just in case, here's our new part. And directions say find a socket that fits it and pound it in there. They say if you're not smart enough to do that without help, then find a different job. That's what they said. I didn't make that up. That's what the rules say. Dun, 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 dun. It says use your thumbs to get a nice straight seat. We're going to try a mini hammer. I have a bigger hammer if I end up needing it, but I don't think I will. That's one good movement already. Let's get another one. Oh my gosh. Not to worry, folks. That was a good movement too. And that seat looks like I might need to move over just a hair over here. But it ain't much. Looks pretty darn good. Let me get a view at it. Give you guys a view. There's actually an inside diameter that makes it easy to center the socket on. Pound it back in there, no problem, with just a tiny little hammer. Socket extension. Easy cheesy. Do bow bow. Chica chica. Alright, next is this guy, which looks to be 18, 19 maybe. Definitely not an 18. Might be bigger than a 19. Nope, perfect. 19 it is. That's too much weight for that little old table. Let's take it down to the floor. Wow. Alright, that broke it. I don't know if you guys can actually see that little move or not. What I did is stood it on the floor and stomped on it. Redneck! tool out of here so we don't accidentally damage. With it. Almost too much for me to handle. Not a big hand tool guy. Like I know how to use them. I'm good with them. I don't have a problem with using them. But if I can get a power tool on it, that is what we are doing. I thought there'd be more pressure on that, but maybe not. Anyway, we're after that spring, and for inspection purposes, we are after this shaft. I did not order a new one of these shafts. They're actually pretty expensive to get OEM, and the aftermarkets are so cheap. It's hard to believe that you could really trust them. So there is some minor signs of scuffing on it. Probably hit that with a little bit of brake clean, if I can find it. There it is. A little bit of lube on that. Not gonna lie, I didn't like feeling any of that. Felt crunchy. Probably get a wire brush involved here. Well, not a wire, but at least a, yeah, maybe something like this. Okay, well, I got some air over here, and we're gonna use it. Honestly, you guys are in the way though, so I'll put you over here. Breaking all the rules. That felt much better. Weird. I don't know how dirt would get in there. Maybe from me washing it. Just got trapped in there. Just got pressure washed. No, actually, this did not get pressure washed. Sorry, folks. So, get you guys back in here, I guess, since you're looking at the floor. And get you. That's all that junk. Anyway, got a brand new spring, and then gonna get a brand new O-ring as well. All you're doing right there is just making sure that it's not twisted. If it is twisted, it will rip when you install it. Oh yeah, this new spring definitely had a lot more spring on it than the new one. I mean the old one. And I'm sure there's a torque rating for this. I believe it is about there. That's essentially it for rebuilding the oil filter housing. There's not a lot to it. So next step is to clean some surfaces here. This came apart pretty good. You can see that it just had one little potential for a leak. I don't know if it was a leak or if just the gasket actually started giving away and material started getting down on into the top of the housing. And then, you know, burning because of the heat and creating carbon. But for whatever reason, pretty much the whole housing is spotless, except for this one little dink right here. I don't know if you guys can see that on the camera or not. What do we do with a situation like that? We go. Actually, should have came off a lot easier than it did. So it was pretty serious print, whatever it was. But that cleans it right up. Creates a little dust. Again, breaking all the rules. Fixed it. We in the garage, folks. I don't know what else I could do. So I'm going to break one more little rule. And I'm going to make more air. Nothing special going on over here. Just breaking more rules. But I need this to be clean, so. Rules broken. All right. PAI's, oh yeah, let's get you back over here with us. PAI's installation instructions. Follow the manufacturer's guidelines. Thank you, PAI. I would have never figured that out. However, PAI is an industry leader. Everybody, I did a lot of homework on those guys. There are a lot of aftermarket parts out there. More part of the bucket of tears. They come up highly rated. In fact, there was even some say that their bearings were a little bit better than the OEM Cummins. Now, I don't know. I really don't know the truth to that. Per se. What a random bag of hardware with no label on it. That's alarming. Okay. We need to find oil cooler. Oh, that's what. That's why I didn't have a label on it, ladies and gentlemen, because it was in the bag with the oil cooler housing. So, not a problem. I'll figure it out. Let's dig out the tumbler real quick and wash some bolts. Man, these are rough. As part of the budget, I'd replace them, but it is not. I do have wire wheels and resources, but pretty rough hardware. I don't know why it would be so rough. Not exposed to anything over there. Jeez. Carbon buildup on these is huge. I don't have a bench wheel per se. I have wire wheels laying around. Meh, that'll be all right. We got a phone call. Okay, nothing too special just happened that you guys missed. It's essentially like 4 individual pieces. So you have an interior gasket, you have a middle gasket. And so what I did is I just put a couple bolts through, line everything up, put a couple bolts through, and that allows me to start them. Like, not a lot to it. Allows me to get it up there. Now I can just put the rest of the bolts in. As you can see, I got 3 bolts in it. So only 2 of them actually started. There's the third one started. That one started. Normally these would be getting Loctite and ready to go, but again, I got to pull this apart a little bit and in a little bit and change that interior gasket. Right now I just have the paper gasket in there. And we're not taking phone calls right now because we can't work until we get this engine built. So kind of gotta get with it. All the bolts are the same, at least on mine. They do send an extra gasket in the kit. I'm guessing it's for a different build, but per quick serve and whatever else. There's only 2 gaskets in here. The inner housing gasket and the outer housing gasket. Of course, you have the oil cooler and you have the oil cooler housing. Apparently I had to remove that previously. Looks to be, at the very least, yeah, apparently I did have to remove it previously. Have an ugly start. Oh yeah, ugly bolt. So the rest of them started pretty good except for this one single bolt, which just happened to be last. which should start better now. Cleaned off pretty easy after I had a second soak. Yeah. Okay, so 10 mil real quick, zip these down. And I think it's time to start measuring some cylinders. I really got to take a look at everything, make sure I'm not missing nothing. But I think so. All right. And then for the time being, I'll put this back. Should have new rubber O-rings for all this stuff. So and that is that. So oil feed for the turbo. Let's see. There's one more final step here. I don't want to use that. This oil filter will come back off before I install too, so I'm just leaving the plastic around it. It's just to help seal the oil system. Doesn't need to be super torqued. That would be nice and clean too. I'll be able to write exact mileage on it, and we'll be worried about the 500 mile break-in after that. So I think that's it for the oil filter housing. Okay, let's see, what would be next? All pumps installed, oil filter housings installed, these oil ports are plugged, those oil ports are plugged. I do need to plug this oil port. I wish I had a big plastic plug, but since I don't, the paper towel will work. Alright, not the prettiest plug, redneck. That. Excuse me. All right. Let's just quickly double check everything's still working. What do you think about my deck? You like my deck? This was courtesy of Diecast Machining, I believe is their names, over in Portland, Oregon. They saved my bacon. And did a really good job too. Super clean, super nice. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're still alive.
At Vast Golem from YouTube said still working baby.
Oh yeah, nice. All right. That actually went a lot faster than I thought it was going to. The reality is I did all the hard stuff already. All the homework was ours. So he is going to be over here for a little bit while I get set up as best as I can. Let's see, how's that looking? Should be okay for now. Should be able to turn this off. And you guys can actually go back to here for now so that I can get over here. All right. Do the darn thing. Okay. So, like the first thing we do is just quickly measure all the cylinders out. So that'll allow me to put you guys back over here for a little bit because I'm going to set that up, get you a little taller, get you a little more involved. Process should be pretty quick. I do got to set the tool up. That will take a few minutes. Bucket of tears. 365,000 miles on this OEM Cummins oil pump. Hopefully we can get 360,000 out of the OTR. Okay, I will be right back. Gotta run upstairs quick, grab these tools. I've been up there measuring stuff. But before I go, let's throw these gaskets back up on the shelf. They did not get knocked off on accident. All right, mic's back on. Just looking for a pen. Honestly, don't know what happened to them at this moment. Gonna need a pen, folks. So you're still waiting. Not like there's anybody in chat, but they say act like there are people in chat at all times. Not that we're putting on much of a show right now either. I'm sure it's pretty boring to you guys. Got a pen. On our way back down. Downtown. Okay, we are measuring piston, bore. We'll be minusing the size of the piston skirt from the bore. That'll give us our piston clearance. We're going to be measuring. We're going to be measuring the rings. We'll just do that as we build each piston. So for now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to suit the pistons to the hole accordingly. In an unreal world, all the pistons would be exactly the same size and all the cylinders would be exactly the same size. But that's not the case in any event. So I gotta get back over here into quick serve real quick. I wish I could show that to you guys. I don't really know how to show you guys that, but let me see. So I go source, not a game capture, display capture. Display capture, add source. Oh my gosh. We'll call it, I don't know, let's call it quick serve. Quick serve for the stream. Yeah, let's call it quick serve. Add source. Okay, capture method automatic. DXGI automatic. So I put it on top. So if I want you guys to not see that, we'll go back to the stream. And I can show you real quick. Boom, boom. And if I'm not mistaken, let me log in on my phone just to be sure. What you guys are looking at right now is my deal. Oh, here we go. Okay, so then at that point, you should be able to go here, and you guys should be able to see this full screen if it worked. Yeah. All right, cool. So you guys are kind of seeing what I'm seeing. That's all right. I don't mind that. Should have done that sooner. So we are on to the block. Sorry, my mouse pad's a little dinky here. Not really a mouse pad. And then from the cylinder block, we want block. And they say wash it, they say scrub it, they say clean it, they say all this stuff is not okay, and then they say to measure it right here, as you can see. So on the new block, on a used cylinder block, you get an extra 1,000th on the max. So they're saying that our cylinder bore should be between 4 and 15.5 thou and 4 and 18.5 thou. 3 thou clearance on that. Not clearance, 3 thou. You know what the word is. Maybe that's clearance. So let's set our tool up. We need to set it up for 4.0155, which is the minimum that it should absolutely be. And then we will add everything that the tool adds to the measurement to see where we're at. Should never be more than 3 thousandths. So get back on the stream here. Let's see, all I got to do is turn that off, and you guys are back there like so. Okay. So the way we do that is we get a 4 to 5 inch outside mic, and we'll set it to 4 inch. So Let the old man get his glasses on here. Let's see. You're not going to actually be able to see the numbers as well as I do or anything, but the idea is that we find this 0, which should be right here. Yeah, okay, so I had to make sure. So that's 4 inches even. And we wanted 4-inch 15.5 thou, if I'm not mistaken. I will, of course, double check. 4-inch 15.5 thou. So on 0 right there, we're exactly 4-inch. It's really that easy. We add 15 thou. I don't know if you guys can see those numbers on there or not, but the big numbers are 1 thou, and every revolution of them is 25 thou. Right now we're at 4 inches 15 thou, and the way you find your half a thou is you go over, and these are all tenth of a thou marks. You'd find a half a thou would be 5/10 of a thou, right? And then moving it past the 15, not in front of it, otherwise you'd be on 14 and something. So you want to be 15, and you take the closest line and you move it to that 5. Lock that in. Boom. That's 4-inch 15.5 thou. So it's just that easy. Like these tools, it's a little mind-boggling. Even for me at first, I was like, what the heck? Now with the tool set at that, oh, I gotta run back upstairs one more time, but we can grab our dial bore indicator. I left the case upstairs, so we have to build the tool to fit the outside mic that we've just set. And the case with all the other handles in it to make it bigger is upstairs. Since the last thing that I measured would have been the connecting rod crank, the connecting rod crank. I don't know what you call it. It's not a journal. The bearings inside the connecting rod for oil clearance. That's what I did. So, step you guys over here for a hot sec. Let's kind of get a peek of what's going on here. You haven't seen these before, so that's how it comes between all your different sizes and your washers. You can build the tool to where it's a few thousandths inside of your outside mic. So this is the setup that I had for the last bit of measuring I was doing, was this and one washer. We'll put that washer back so we don't lose it. And then we'll try this one real quick. And so it can get rough by just throwing the thing in there and seeing where you're at. That's still way short. Hard for you guys to see, but oh wow, especially with my big fat hand in the way. Let's see if I can switch the view for you here. It's just that easy. You want to make this fit inside of there. Hope you guys can see that. I didn't even look to make sure you could. So we're going to go another couple longer, and we're going to give this one a try. Again, we're just roughing her in right now, so if you guys can see that, it's still too short. I'm going to try the absolute longest one real quick. And with the absolute longest one, finally, we're too long. You see, it won't fit, and you can't squeeze it, but only so much. You only get a few thousandths of measuring capacity, so you got to get it really close. And you got to kind of center it, but closer to the minimum measurement. So we know now that's going to at least be this one. We'll see how far we are off just real quick. Need to be longer. We're still too short. We'll go straight to a thick washer. Washer just slides on right there, takes up the extra space, fits in the tool. I hold it in place with my 2 fingers while I check this. Now that is pretty good. Leaves me just a little bit of back play, but all sorts of measuring power. So this setup works good for me. Now that you've built the tool, you put your retainer back on. Now you know the tool fits inside of the bore. This part's, well, what can I say? Practice. But you want to put your tool inside your bore, and you want to be holding your 0 button. And once you think you got an absolute 0 measurement, click your 0. And then play with that and see. So I can find an absolute 0 there, half a thou there, big thou there. Okay, and once you get it zeroed in the tool, once you take it out, it's going to go, for instance, I want a negative 61.5 thou. So that's, you actually have 61, with this tool, you would have 61 thou of measuring capability. So really quickly, I'm going to shove it back in there and make sure I can zero it, which I cannot, which means my measurement would have been off thousandths. And after a long time playing with it, it seems. This is very hard. Most people put it in a vise. That way you can use 2 hands on the tool. But eventually, I'll get a 0. And when I go back and I check that measurement again, just for the fun of it, I should be able to pull a 0 again every single time. So I'm at a half a thou. I cannot get it to 0. You know, the idea of being able to reach up there and 0 that, probably some to none. Let's check that 0. I'm sure there's a much more professional way to do this. I don't know. Other than having a vise. I've definitely zeroed out there pretty darn good. And I will go back and check it just one more time. Shouldn't matter what direction you check it in. Zeros, baby. Oh yeah. All right. Now your tool is set. Remember earlier we said 61 thousandths, so now that I got 0 zeros, 58.5 thousandths. So, you know, it's 2 thousandths that I would have been out of measure. I would have definitely not been right. That being said, I don't see a reason why I can't quickly. So it's definitely a 0. Check my measurement one more time, and let's go back to the cylinders. Kind of how you set the tool up. You have an amount of time between when you set that and when your tool shuts off automatically to do this. So just remember that. All right, piston bore cylinder 1. which is closest to you guys. I'm going to check it here. And perfect. We'll drop down the bore. It is half a thou. And to the bottom of the bore, again, half a thou. So, and we'll check it lengthwise. Top of the bore, perfect. Halfway down, perfect. Bottom of the bore, just slid right into perfect. That's even better. Okay. So half a thou on one measurement out. That is absolutely gorgeous. We love that. So the piston bore is exactly 4-inch, 15.5 thou. We'll call it 4-inch, 16 thou. That's on cylinder 1. 4-inch, 16 thou. Perfect. All right, cylinder number 2. I'm going to whip right through these now. So top bore 1 thou. Top, I mean. The middle. One thou. And the bottom, half a thou. On the other side is perfect. In the middle, perfect. In the bottom, half a thou. So 1 thou on that. We'll put that at 4-inch, 16.5 thou. Cylinder 3. Perfect. 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 One thou. 1 thou. Perfect. So plus a thou on cylinder 3. Puts it in line with cylinder 2 at 4 inches, 16.5 thou. Cylinder 4, baby. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. Perfect. Half a thou. One thou. One thou. Half a thou. This cylinder is plus 1 thou. 4-inch, 16.5 thou. Number 5. Perfect. Half a thou. That's more like a bottom measurement. Half a thou in the middle. half a thou, half a thou, half a thou. This cylinder's a half a thou. That's good in case I have a slightly larger piston. So this one will be 4 inches, 16 thou. Even. Cylinder number 6. Perfect. Half a thou. One thou. Clear at the bottom. One thou. My piston gonna come down that far? Skirt is, isn't it? So one thou on the bottom. Half a thou on everything else. Let's see. One thou on the top. One thou in the middle. Half a thou on the bottom. Everything is still well within the realm of perfectly round. You get a half a thou on that. Nothing was out of that. We're going to go plus 1 thou. We'll put it at 4 inch, 16 and a half thou. All right, that's the pistons measured. I mean, the bores measured. Just quickly going to zero my tool one more time just to make sure that we didn't get off anywhere. And now it seems to be perfect in one way or the other. Okay. Tool still zeroes out perfectly. So that's how you measure bore. Not a lot to it. Okay. I'm not sure that we're going to be measuring any more bores after this. I think this is it. That being said, I'm going to put this tool away. Storage mode, I can get the washer to stay in it. Okay. Oh, no, shit. Oh, shoot. We don't want that. Oh, shoot. All right. So, next would be the pistons real quick. So we can make sure we're both not slapping and not too tight. Everything is standard. It should all bolt up without an issue. I'm under the impression that that would be okay. But everybody tells me that I put together an engine without checking said tolerances, says that I'm cuckoo. I don't think I'm cuckoo. Now let's get you guys over here real quick. I don't think I'm cuckoo at all. All right, let's see. What do you see there? You get an idea. So obviously these are my pistons, also the wrist pins, also the snap rings for the wrist pins, as well as the ring sets for them. All part of the rebuild kit that I purchased. Brand spanking new OEM Cummins pistons. So my understanding is I need to measure the skirt. I'm actually going to go to quick serve on it. Take you guys with me real quick. Let's see. So that you go boom, and then we go boom, and then we want piston. I haven't actually looked at this chapter yet. The piston and connecting rods must be removed as an assembly. Yeah, we already know. Disassemble the piston and connecting. Let's see. Do not use bead blast method to clean the pistons. Pistons will be damaged. Soaking the pistons overnight will lose in the carbon deposits. Wash the pistons. Do not use a ring groove cleaner, and make sure not to scratch the ring sealing surface. We don't care about any of the cleaning. We don't care about that. Focus. Here's what we care about. We want the measurements, please. So it is saying to measure the skirt in line with the wrist pin, and it is saying that the min and maxes should be 4 inches, 10 and 4/10 thou, or 4-inch, 11 and 3/10 thou. We can step those up if you guys want and try and sound cool. 104/10 thou or 113/10 thou. It's just easier for the mind, I think, at least for mine, to think of all the fourth numbers that we're seeing right there. Those are just tenths of a thou, right? So if you go, it's 10 and 4/10 of a thou. And that also works into running the tool and how to understand it. It works out really well for you. So looks like you're getting less than a thou. That is kind of steep clearance. Looks like we are getting 9/10 of a thou clearance, which is a little steep. All right. Get you guys back over here. Actually, I'm going to jot those numbers down real quick, just so I kind of have a basis of what we're talking about. So it was 4 inches. Can't write on that, huh? 4 inches, 10 and 4/10 thou. Man, 4 inches, 10 and 4/10 thou, with 4 inches, 11 and 3/10 thou. Four zero 113. Okay, got it. Now let's get you guys back over here to us real quick. And we'll get rid of that. Gotta pull you back here while I grab the 4 to 5 inch outside micrometer. Well, we don't want to scratch these freaking skirts. Oops. But number one rule, make sure your tool's clean. And we're just going to go in and that is going to be 4-inch, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's supposed to be 11. Grandpa needs his glasses again. And it's 11 4/10. So we want that. Yeah, fit pretty perfectly. And it does. Okay, that's better. So that is exactly 4-inch, 11 4/10 thou. So that's what we want. So with that, we should be able to do some math. Get the phone out. Mic's still working. Okay. What I'm seeing is 4-inch 16 thou minus 4-inch 11 4/10 thou. And according to the math, that's leaving 4 6/10 thou. Piston clearance. Let's take a peek real quick. Wait. That's 4-inch 10 4/10 thou. 10. 10. Okay, that's what I got it set to. So where did I come up with 4-inch 11? This was 4-inch 10 4. All right, let's redo this math because I did it wrong. 4.016 minus 4.0104. Well, I just made it bigger. That's 5 6/10 thousandths clearance. Check the turbocharger. Guess that makes sense if it's spitting garbage straight into the intake. They don't tell me what the clearance is, though, do they? Huh. Okay. Guess we'll ask the wizard. What is the typical clearance piston to wall on a 2000 5.9 Cummins 185 horse VP44 build?
Typical piston-to-wall clearance on a 5.9 Cummins is generally specified by the manufacturer, often around 0.002 to 0.004 inches. However, for performance builds or modified engines, clearances might be adjusted depending on factors like piston material and planned power levels. Are you looking for stock clearance or for a modified build?
Well, for stock clearance, of course.
For a stock 2005 5.9 Cummins, the typical piston-to-wall clearance is generally around 0.0047 inches, measured at a specific point on the piston skirt. It's always a good idea to check the specific manufacturer specifications for your exact engine.
Yeah. Just give me a ball line here. I got to look all through QuickServe to find it. I'm sitting at right at 5 thou right now.
Sitting right at 5 thou is pretty close to the typical stock clearance. It might be within the acceptable range, depending on specific manufacturing tolerances, but it's always best to consult the official service manual for your exact model to be sure.
Yada yada. You're always trying to make sure that you're not liable for the things that you tell me. Now hold on. Hold on, Chad. Hold on. Do we divide the clearance into two? Okay, so to get the piston to wall clearance, I go in, I measure the piston walls, I measure the bore, and then I go in and I measure the piston skirt. And then just minus the two numbers? Do I got to cut anything in half because of the dimension, the diameter, or what's going on there?
That's essentially right. You measure the cylinder bore using a dial bore gauge in a few different places to check for roundness and taper. Then you measure the piston skirt using an outside micrometer, usually 90 degrees to the piston pin. The difference between those measurements is your piston to wall clearance. You don't cut anything in half. It's the direct difference. Does that clarify things?
Yeah.
Great. Just make sure to measure the piston skirt at the point with the largest diameter and the bore in the correct positions to get the most accurate clearance.
Did you just tell me what to do? Did you just tell me what to do? Okay, so I'm back. Sorry, I had a couple of my regular customers there. I had to text. They're trying to get me to come back to work, but I'm not ready. I'm gonna bring you guys over here real quick, and I'm scared to do it, but let's go see if we can find the clearances. Wouldn't be in cylinder block, would it? When measuring deglazing board on main bearing caps, Cummins and torque plate in place, refer to procedure, use the outboard gauge, and 1 degrees apart, blah, 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 did it. Hard to check that. Already measured those, already measured that. New piston rings cannot see, obviously, blah, 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 blah. Let's see, cover the lubricating, the honing, the cleaning. The more cleaning, the tappets, install. Oh, is this just what we just read? Doesn't say anything about the clearance, does it? Says measure. Measure, the piston clearance is not measured. Pin inspection, assemble, install, finishing steps. Well, whatever. It's a brand new piston and it's right within spec. Seems like as we run across the measurements here, what's our biggest measurement? Our biggest measurement and our most consistent measurement is 1 thou. So this was actually our smallest measurement. So it really doesn't matter. The pistons can virtually go in any cylinder. They're all gonna measure out. I've already got maximum clearance anyway. Seems to me like we can just start building the pistons and put this mamma jamma together. At this point, all the cylinders pass inspections with flying colors, and all of the pistons are brand new. They're going to pass inspections with flying colors. I will quickly just slap the damn thing on each piston just because I have had a lot of problems. So I'll just make it quick and cheesy. Those on pistons. Because we are all rusted and withered. You guys like Creed? One of my favorite bands. In case you couldn't tell. Not my favorite band, but one of them. Oh, Bobby, I'm not sure, boss. I'm not sure what you just asked, but I already know the answers, and I'm not sure. I will say this, when I go back to do my eBay review to my eBay seller that sold me these Cummins rebuild kits and stuff, I know that you took the time to tear it all down and take pictures of all the individual components and then managed to get it all back together. And I just want to say thank you. Like, this is excellent packaging, good looking out. I know they didn't come like that. I know they came like that. And oh wow, you probably can't see anything that's really going on over here. Oh, you guys can't see anything anyway. You're still on this. Why didn't somebody say something? Holy guacamole. All right, let's get you on with that. Okay. Well, David, nobody said anything because nobody's watching your lame ass stream. Boom, shagalaga. Let's see. How's that look there? That's a pretty good view for you guys. Anyway, back to my seller, as I was saying, last piston before I realized that we weren't on there. But he didn't receive them like that. He took them apart to take pictures of everything to put on his listing, and then took the extra time to wrap them in bubble wrap for the extra shipping. And that's just really nice, man. That's just super nice. Okay, everything is relative to the box that it came out of. I don't know how much difference it's going to actually make. We'll just call them. We'll just call them. I'm seeing some issues. Oh, okay. Inside of the pistons are the snap rings for locking in the wristband. Just looked like it. We're missing a couple. He's just got them very cleverly hidden inside. This is the one I already had opened. On to what we're looking for is literally just a quick scan with this just to make sure that it fits over all them pretty much the same. It is literally just in case there's a random glitch. We want that like so. We want this, which was already set, to fit perfectly like so. So that hold more. Maybe I'm tripping. Yeah, I suppose I am. Just leave them out, huh? Heck with it. I know you can see what I'm doing here till some effect, right? Yeah. That piston might even be just a little bit smaller, which is crazy. It shouldn't be. So I would say a smaller piston would go in a smaller number, which would be 1 or 5. Okay, moving on. This one, oh, smaller piston, smaller hole, right. That one's perfect. That one's right there with the rest of them. Let's see. In the event that I need to swap it, it would be my number 1 hole, so that's fine. This one I have already measured, but why not? Oh yeah, perfect. That's pretty perfect. Could almost be considered a light. Depends on how this one measures out. Put that one off. That one measured out perfect. Okay, so that one's going to go there. This one and this are going to go here. Wait, what did I just do? Yeah, okay, perfect. Because 1 and 5 are my small cylinders. Those will take 2 smaller pistons. They're not really smaller. I mean, if anything, fucking half thou, nothing. So, exciting stuff. Okay. In regards to building these, dang my nose. Okay, I guess rings would be next. Fingers crossed they're perfect because I don't really have a tool. I mean, ain't nothing more than a grinding tool. They try to say, oh, there's a specific da-da-da-da-da that it makes this much dividend. And I'm sure it's great, but I'm sure I can grind a straight line too, file off the burrs. So that's what I'm thinking. Cylinder 1, rings. I studied these rings for a long time. I wish I was famous and I had a few mechanics out there watching me. But only one of them actually says top on it. The other one has a mark that I would obviously goes up. The the oil ring doesn't have a mark at all. This is my first time doing this too, guys. Never done this before. So anybody know? They don't even have part numbers on them. Or do they? Grandpa dig out his glasses real quick. No part numbers, just top and a dot. On the second ring, which I'm assuming is the second ring, it doesn't even say top, just has a dot. And then as far as the oil ring goes, it doesn't have any writing on it at all. Wouldn't you assume with that knowledge that top is the top ring and that the dot on the second ring is the top and that the oil ring is doesn't matter, it can go either direction? Well, let's quickly go back in here and let's find, what's this? We're gonna get out of this. Close this up. Piston rings. There we go. Okay, position each ring in the cylinder, 89 millimeters, 3.5 inches below the top deck. Use a piston to square it with the bore. The top. These are single NI ring gaps. I did study these a little bit. It does give me part numbers, but doesn't tell me anything about the rings other than that. So I gotta go elsewhere for that information. Okay. I seem to recall having a conversation with Gemini about it. Now that I think about it, that's what it was. So, you guys back over there. Let's go talk to Gemini real quick. Let's see what he says about that real quick. The top ring, silver and shiny. Color silver, usually a chrome or ceramic coating on the outer edge. Material is a high tensile, high strength steel designed to handle 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Look for a tiny top marked on our dot. Well, there is both. This must face the top of the piston. Groove, top groove. Groove, top groove. I don't know what that means. The second ring is the black and dark one. Dark gray or black, usually a phosphate coating. This is a scraper ring. It is designed to scrape the remaining oil off the cylinder wall and help seal compression. It often has a slight taper or bevel on one edge. Oh, so does the top one, but they both have a bevel though. Just like the top ring, look for a top mark or a laser etched dot. There is a dot. Groove, middle, second groove. Oh, I see. Okay. The thickest ring, wavy expander spring behind it. Let's ask him one more question. Jesus, these glasses. Okay, so I wanted to ask him. Oh yeah. Oh, they're talking about the expander ring, huh? The ring itself, two-piece design, cast iron ring with a coil spring behind it. Look closely at the faces of the ring. If you see a top mark or small dot, it must face the top of the piston. If there are no marks on either side, the ring is symmetrical and can be installed in either direction. The expander spring, the joiner, is critical. The spring that sits inside the oil ring is what actually provides the tension. This is where most of the mistakes happen. The gap, the ends of the expansion spring are held together by a tiny wire or joiner or pin. The rule: when you snap the oil ring over the spring, the gap of the iron ring must be exactly 180 opposite of the joiner spring. The danger: spring ends up overlap, bunch up instead of sitting butt to butt. When you compress the ring will snap or create a massive hot spot on the cylinder wall. What are you talking about? If the spring ends overlap, bunch up instead of sitting butt to butt, when you compress the ring will snap or create a massive hot spot on the cylinder wall. But I mean, that's a pretty tough mistake in itself, right? So what they're saying is that when we take this spring out of the inside of the ring, what they're saying is that somewhere, I don't even know where, must be right there, what they call a joiner pin, or it's just a joint, right? So they're saying when you install that, it needs to be installed 180 opposite, oh, my big hands, it needs to be installed just 180 opposite, right? Not a big deal. And that these two need to butt up nice and pretty once everything is installed. I'm not really sure how they could get off from one another. But knowing what I know now, let's see, where's it at? It's right there. I'd put it there. Jesus. Jiminy, holy crap. What just happened? Okay, so starting over, now that I'm back, I know the joiner is right there. Push that together, and that goes opposite 180 of that. And then the ring just pushes back inside of it. I'm in the spring. That easy. Now I did just notice for the first time that, I don't know if you can see that. Oh yeah, you can see that. What's that about? This is factory out of the box. We'll check the other ones and see if they have it. But what is the blue mark for? What's that for, folks? What about that? I may have to watch a video on this. What I don't understand yet, this is what I'm trying to figure out, is I'm going to have to compress this ring to get it onto the piston. I mean, into the cylinder wall, but it doesn't really compress. It feels like that's a lot of stress. So, depending on how this fits in the cylinder, oh well, I can see some barbs that are still pretty wide open on it, actually. No, not really. I mean, I guess you're supposed to compress the shit out of it with your tool, huh? I'll have to watch that a little closer. I watched the video and the guy was doing it, but he was struggling because this ring, yeah, cylinder one. I'll be damned. Thing don't have no oil class, bro. Well, that sucks. Hoping these would kind of already be done. Shit, that might be 3 or 4 thousandths. I will have to take a break if I got to grind a bunch of these. I'll have to set up something to grind them somewhere else to do it. Oh, it's not even 3. It's tight. Super tight, folks. I don't know if you can see this. But let's see. I'm not going to put too much light on it yet because I'll try these other ones out real quick, but cat. Yeah. There you can. Anyhow, trying to get it in there. Super tight. I didn't want that. Might be like a 2000th. Like a 2000th gap. And it's cold compared to room temperature in here. So the rings are going to expand. I would want to be on the bigger end of that. Okay, so there's a single ring. The top, we want 14 to 18. Wait. Max, min, max. Why is it giving me 3 values for the oil ring? Let's ask Junior. Hey, I'm looking at the ring gaps, and I noticed that on the oil ring it comes quick serve. It's giving me three. Three measurements. I'm trying to figure out what's going on there. It's got a max, min, max.
The 3 measurements for the oil ring likely refer to different components of the oil ring assembly. Typically, the oil ring consists of a...
never mind. I'm reading it wrong. So the second keystone is 33 to 45. The oil ring is 10 to 22 thousandths. I got 3 thousandths. That's a lot of grinding. That's a ton of grinding. And they were all more perfect at the bottom than they were at the top. So the top measurement should be fine. Okay. Get you guys back out here real quick. The oil ring's like 2 thousandths. If I was to honestly try and measure that out. Second ring. Is also tight AF. I had to guess it, it's actually 3 thou. Let's go find out. Meh, I don't know. Trying to make something so you guys can see it, but this is still tight. I was trying to see how tight. See if I can still fits in there. That is a 5 thou. Here's a 6, here's a 7. Let's just jump straight to a 7th thou, I think. Yeah, see if that fits. The 7th thou fits fine. Here's an 11th thou. Let's try it. See what it does. Holy moly. Alright. 11th thou still fits. Let's go bigger. There's a 12. Here's a 13. Let's try that. Not sure what to make of the oil ring yet. That's a 13. That's fitting pretty nicely. I have a feeling that we're getting there. We're going to go with a 16. Probably have to dig back out the 15. Starting to get a little faster now as they get a little thicker. That 16 still fits quite nicely. Let's go bigger. This is an 18. I'm pretty sure it's going to be too big, but let's find out. 18 just fits in there. I mean, that is a snug bite, but it does fit. So I'm just gonna shove a 19 in there to see, but pretty sure that's an 18th thou mark. 19th thou will come pretty quick. Boom shagalaka. A 19th thou will just fit. Damn. Okay, let's go bigger. Like one that doesn't fit. No way the 20th thou fits, right? That was just a glitch. That was a freak. That was a freak of nature. Does the 19th thou fit? The 20th thou actually fits pretty nice still. So that's good news, actually. Let's go straight to a 22 and see if it fits, if I can find it. There it is. I'll go straight to a 22. There is no 21. Oh yeah, there is. It's hiding. Okay, good. Good to know. So straight to a 22. Survey says that a 22 fits pretty dang snug. But it does just fit. I mean, that's a good bite on it. So, my first time, folks. Alright, so 22, 21. 23. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but 23 will not fit. Go back one more time to 22 thou quick. Gonna be right here. And 22 thou. Will just fit in there. It grips it, but it just fits in there. 23 won't. So I'll call that measurement 22 thou. Let's quickly get you guys here, bring back over here. And so that is the second ring on a single ring piston. And it says that it can be 33 to 45 thou. And we're at 22. So it still wants me to grind that out, or it's gonna blow up when it heats up. Okay, well, let me at least write these measurements down so I kind of have an idea of what I'm taking off. Man, it would be cool to have a little hand grinder tool that you guys use. That'd be awesome. Kind of depressing, folks. 22,000, we said. Okay. Get you guys back in here real quick. Shut a dug. I'm gonna go back in and redo the oil ring. Oops. Pretty slim gap. It's supposed to be one of the biggest, I think, if I remember right. Let's try 17 thousandths straight off the bat. See if that'll fit in there. Does not. Let's try 13,000. Does not fit. Try 7,000. Fits. Come on now. Here goes a 10. Oh, the 10 actually fits super tight, but it does fit. Okay, here's an 11. 11 will get in there, but it won't go flat against the wall. So we'll call that a 10 thousandths. That's ugly. It's so ugly. And last but not least, the one they say is almost the most important. The top ring. I got that in there, right? Top, yeah, I do. Okay. Not looking like I need these glasses. Let's check that gap. Looks like that gap is probably, hopefully, good. It's the tightest gap we want. Let's start with a 20 thou. And that fits pretty good. Let's go to 22.